Modern retirement has become harder in a way that we did not expect would happen, especially for baby boomers and for Gen Xers. Because after years of working and having a full schedule and taking on responsibilities, well, retirement for many, it can often feel boring. Combine that with the age of convenience that we live in, where everything is just one click away. Those two things combined, they remove an essential part of life. When we get to this period, if we're in this in retirement, there's an important part of life that goes away, and we're just not used to it. A friend and a client told me about 6 months into retirement, he was like, I did the house projects, we traveled, we did this thing, we did the move, and I've been playing a lot more golf, and all those things are great. But I gotta admit, retirement is boring as blank. I know it might sound crazy to you that retirement is boring, but it's very common and it's been studied too. There's really 5 stages of retirement. Stage 1 is the honeymoon phase, and that's what you're thinking about when you're thinking about retirement. It's when you've got the freedom, you've got the flexibility, and everything's new and exciting. But that doesn't last. And there's a second stage that some people go through very quickly, some avoid it completely, or some get stuck there. And the second stage is called disenchantment. And that leads to a feeling like a letdown feeling, sometimes a mini depression. So I'll share why this happens and then what you can do about it now to just make sure that it never happens to you. And then there's going to be 3 things you might want to write down as we get to them. And by the way, I'm Dave Zoller, owner of a retirement planning firm, Streamline Financial. And my team and I, we've been helping people transition into retirement for the last decade and a half. And we've seen firsthand some people who are living the dream, and then some people can't help it. After 40 years of work, they retire and then they go through that period and they think, is this really all there is? So the goal of this video is to give you the info and the tactics to just make sure retirement is the best stage of life yet. So let's get into the facts first. It's interesting because retirement, it kind of brings this unique paradox where it's meant to be a time of relaxation and a time of freedom, yet without a little bit of structure and even a little bit of stress and challenge that work used to provide, we could end up feeling a lot more unengaged and unfulfilled in retirement because our brains, they're not used to a life without regular tasks, without deadlines, and without making progress and growth. They're wired to have this balance of stress and achievement to really feel satisfied. It's kind of like a scale. This is kind of representing how our brains handle pleasure and pain, because neuroscience shows us that pleasure and pain, they're processed in the same part of the brain and they work like a scale or a balance. And then when we feel pleasure, the balance tips in one direction, but eventually it needs to reset. And then on the pain side, there's a slight come down after that good experience. And if we keep turning to easy pleasures in retirement, like binge watching TV or scrolling through social media nonstop, our brains, they enter this thing called a dopamine deficit state. And that just means that when we're not challenging ourselves or making progress, we'll start to feel less satisfied in life. And then to fill the emptiness, we're going to continue to turn to quick fixes to get bursts of enjoyment so that we really, that could turn into more addictive behavior, or we get more and more reliant on it. And eventually that can leave us feeling restless, unfulfilled, and even a little bit depressed. So how can we combat these things? There's going to be 3 things to write down here. And also remember, we're all different, right? Some people, they need more friction or more challenge in their life. And some people are naturally, they don't need as much. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs or business or hard driven people. They need that consistent challenge and progress, even in retirement after they're done with work or after they sell the business. Because without it, retirement's going to feel very dull, and they need that extra stimulation. And often the advice that they get, common advice, is, well, you've got to, if you're bored in retirement, then you got to find your new passion. You have to find your new purpose in retirement. And that's good advice, but it can sometimes feel overwhelming, right? Or even discouraging if we don't have that yet, if we haven't had the time to explore yet, or we don't have an obvious passion. So in retirement, it's up to us to create our own meaning and our own purpose. So here's some practical ways to do that. Number 1 is set small goals. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be a huge project. If it's fitness related, think about a daily steps goal. That's progress. Or learning a new skill, or maybe completing one module of an online course, or learning a language. It could just be 30 minutes a day is really all we need. Second thing is, maybe you do take on a project. Maybe it's the home renovation idea, or planting a new garden, or something related to growing something. or working on a new hobby or exploring a new hobby. Anything that brings a sense of progress is a good thing. And then third thing, I'll show you some examples of starting a routine, right? Even a simple daily routine gives us structure and gives us purpose. Because that's one thing that completely disappears if we retire and go cold turkey. The routine is gone, but we have to introduce it in some new way. A couple ideas here for routine, setting a routine. It's really just 3 areas of the day to think about. And the things we have to plug in here, I would say, are the 3 C's. So contribution is C number 1, and that's using our skills to help others or time to help others. Creativity or curiosity is another one, using our brain. And then connection is another one. So think about plugging these in. Maybe it's in the morning, rather than going straight to the news and reading the news, maybe we're doing something creative or we're studying something, not the news, but studying something, a topic that's interesting. Maybe noon is a time of connection with people, with friends, with family. And maybe afternoon is contribution in some way. And again, there can be contribution in any of these things. One other way I've heard is helpful is having 3 wins. If we could just do 3 wins every day, a physical win, whether it's a walk or workout, a mental win, that's the curiosity part, and then a spiritual win, whether it's praying or meditating or reading scripture. Doing those 3 things, that could be a good day. So if you're thinking about this, or if retirement isn't what you hoped, try starting small, add something to your routine that gives a sense of accomplishment and progress. And even if it's just a 20-minute walk each day, the goal, you don't have to be perfect. It's just about finding that spark, that sense of meaning, and living into this new chapter of life. So hope that was helpful. Check out this video too on 7 things that happy retirees do, and then I'll see you there. Take care.